let's talk about some dark horse contenders for the national championship. So last year, this time, nobody was really talking about TCU. The new coaching staff coming in. Yeah, nobody thought they would be making a playoff. If they were ranked, they were lowly ranked in the bottom of the top 25. But I think a lot of people didn't even have them ranked. And by the end, they made the playoff. It shocked a lot of people. Had a very good, impressive win against Michigan in the playoffs until they ultimately, got beat down pretty badly by Georgia in the championship. But still, it was a good season. Made a playoff run. So in that kind of vein, who do we see as dark horse contenders? Like, what's a team that's very similar to maybe what TCU was last year at this time, and who do we think might have a chance if all the cards fall their way to make a run towards the playoffs? So start with you, Jordan. Who's someone that kind of sticks out to you? What's a team that sticks out to you?
Well, I have to choose Tony's favorite team ever to choose, Iowa State.
Oh,
And
that's a terrible pick.
and it's a far shot, but it's a gives me vibes of that TCU Big 12. I think if you just look at Iowa State, they have a lot of upperclassmen, um, return a lot of returning players. But then if you look at last year, there's 6 of the 8 losses they had last year were only by one score. If they could just turn that around and all these develop players and players that have been there a long time, and their quarterback gets better, I can see them being that dark horse to win the Big 12, but also push that brim into being that team that, like TCU last year, getting in there somehow and being that team. Otherwise, besides Iowa State, who is a really, 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 really long shot, um, NC State. I think NC State last year was a scary team to play. They had a really tough, good defense, and I think now with their quarterback Brendan Armstrong coming in, I think it's going to make that team even more scary and have them be a harder force to play. And I wouldn't want to play them at home, even away, just because we know what Brendan Armstrong can do, and we know their defense is tough, no matter who they play. But those are the two, more NC State than Iowa State. But I thought I would give a little homage to Tony's horrible choosing of teams in that. I could have said Indiana, but I do do not think Indiana has a chance of winning
No, they
more
did
than three
not.
games. But it's okay.
Hey, when I picked Indiana, they had a chance. They just didn't do it. So, all right, Jess, who do you got? Who's a team that's sticking out to you there?
I'm gonna go with Wisconsin. They got a whole bunch of new pieces. You never know what that can mean when it comes to college football. They don't get Michigan or Penn State this year on their schedule, and they get to host Ohio State. Now, again, Ohio State is really good, so no matter what, that's going to be a tough game, I would imagine, unless Ohio State's QB situation is just that bad. But I don't think any of us expect it to be, so bad that they're, like a 4 or 5 loss even team.
No.
But, maybe Wisconsin goes undefeated in the regular season. They meet an undefeated Michigan or an undefeated Penn State or something or somebody in the, another really good team in the Big Ten Conference Championship that can propel them. Because one of the things, like an NC State, I just don't see for a team like that, they're going to have to go undefeated, but then there aren't so many phenomenal teams, at least that we're expecting in the ACC this year. So you're going to have be undefeated if you're a team like Wisconsin. You're going to have a number of really impressive wins. So they go undefeated, they win the Big Ten championship game. Maybe that'll be enough.
Yep, no, I tend to agree on the Wisconsin front. They would be my pick just because they have a fresh new head coach and coaching staff coming in with Luke Fickle coming in from Cincinnati. They're having a brand new offense, which gives you a little worries, but they're going to actually open it up, and they have a good offensive line and running back to kind of go with it. I think gives them a chance to be pretty good on defense, pretty good on offense, and without the schedule being too crazy, I think it gives them an opportunity to be pretty good. Really, to your point, I mean, it comes down to a 1-game season. They beat Ohio State, they make the Big Ten. championship, and anything can happen at that point. You never know how the other teams will fall. But I do like that the transfer quarterback that they have in. They had a transfer wide receivers, one of the top wide receivers in the country in the recruiting rankings, and so they might be able to be more explosive on offense, which will help their defense out. And that gives a good combination there.
Just to throw that out there, they do play Washington State the second game of the season at Washington
Washington's
State.
not as good this year, though, sadly.
You were the one that picked Washington State
last year. Then they lost some pieces. They're not quite ready this year, so I'm not on the bandwagon. I have left. My bags are packed. And
wow!
You sure, Tony?
Yeah, wait till we do the conference reviews and previews. And
I could change my mind by then. Who knows?
Tony's predicting right here, right now, Iowa State completely undefeated national champions.
No, I'm picking it. Sorry,
Jordan picked that. I definitely am not picking
Iowa
State's gonna have a 6-6 record.
Yeah, Tony picked Indiana.
That was 5 years ago, and I picked him when they thought like Michael Penix Jr. was going to be good, and he got hurt, and I can't help that. Okay.
Just so you guys all know, listen to the podcast. We have not been doing this for 5 years.
Our old colleague Ben did post on Twitter about this, but I did pick TCU to have a good season last year, and what happened? They made the playoffs, so I want to throw that out there. So let's calm down.
Broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, well, and I'm right most of the day. So the only other team I want to mention is Auburn. I know people. We made fun a lot of Auburn last year, but I like Hugh Freeze's offense, and he's got a lot of good transfers. I think Payne Thorne from Michigan State is going to be a good quarterback addition for the year, and Caleb Burton is a good wide receiver from Ohio State, who really was this young guy who never got playing time because they had so many great people ahead of them. So I think they could do something with the offense, and I think the defense would be good to go with it. So, Auburn has those weird years where they're terrible, then they just pop out of nowhere because they have a pretty good recruiting class normally every year. So I don't know if that's going to be the case this year, but I think there's something to keep an eye on if we're looking for outside the box.
They play Alabama and Georgia, so
hey, they can make the playoff with a loss. So they split that. I mean, that's all it needs, and they could beat Alabama this year. Maybe they almost beat Alabama the last couple of years. So just want to throw that out there. Well, that's with a worse coaching staff. And if I remember, Hugh Freeze is pretty successful against Nick Saban when he was at Ole Miss.
And they also play LSU.
I'm not worried about it.
At LSU.
Hey, I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm just saying if we're going to throw a dark horse contenders, that North Carolina State has to play Notre Dame and Clemson and North Carolina, so they probably not going to do it either. So I can throw some cold water on your picks too.
I just you're wrong. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, you're wrong too.
Of everybody, I think my pick is the best.
Your pick is the safest. That's why you're boring, Jess. It's fine.
The safest pick. So yeah. All right. Let's